Hey guys, it's Sonny, and making another video today, a little different than some of the videos I've done before. This is going to be kind of an in-the-weeds discussion of the Oathplate armor and its uses specifically at Tob and Colo. So the reason I'm making this video, I saw this today on Reddit from I'm Y on how Oathplate plus Bellator beats Torva plus Ultor. So he ran the DPS calcs to compare to current BIS at applicable contents. Turns out Bellator a decent improvement over Torva and Ultor at a lot of places. Yeah, and so he shares this DPS calc sheet, which I mean I appreciate people actually like going through and doing these calcs versus just taking someone's word for it. Now I don't really want to discuss cox and CMs just because there's so many different variations of that raid, depending on the scale, depending on how many hammers you hit, everything like that. So he assumes like two hammers, mauls, and plus a BGS and a trio. I don't really I don't want to go through all of those calculations because it would just take up too much time, too many, too much things to talk about, and I don't really care that much about its use in Cox or like Vard and Duke. I'm really more concerned about its use in Tob and Colo, which he didn't include any of the Coliseum calculations on here. A little confused about that, but I think it's because it doesn't really fit his agenda. So I'll go through. One thing I saw this, and at first I was kind of like, this is a little disingenuous because, as the comments show, a lot of people, the question is, what's the best Mitch of gear you can do since Scythe is sensitive to max hits? And yeah, Torva Helm plus Oathplate body and legs. He hears that's the best. He's right. This is the best. And the reason for that is because Torva Helm, Oathplate body and legs, and Ultor gives you the 50 Scythe max hit, which I've talked about this before on different rambles for the armor, but the 50 Scythe max hit is huge because as you can see here, you go 50, 25, 12. When you drop this to 49, you go 49, 24, 12. So you lose 2 max hits actually with going down from a 49 to a 50. So it's a huge threshold, and with full Torva and Ultor, your max hit's 51. So it's 51, 25, 12. So you're only gaining 1 max hit with full Torva and Ultor, and the Oathbreaker body and legs are 39 slash. So you're gaining 39 slash and losing 1 max hit. Versus if you go Oathplate Helmet and Bellator, I think you gain like 25 slash, something around those lines, and you lose 2 max hits. So intuitively, you would kind of think, okay, I think the, meeting in the middle is probably the best of both worlds. This guy goes, this is wrong for P2 and only applies to P3 of all places in Tob. Everywhere else in Tob, it is better to wear full Oath plus Bella or full Torva plus Ultor. This isn't correct, objectively, yeah. So he says, not true. This guy's wrong. You don't use Torva and Bellator anymore on P2. But yeah, objectively, this is wrong. And, he says here too, there are no locations where it was better to wear a hybrid of the armor. Again, this is also incorrect. And I wanted to kind of point that out. So I ran these calculations on my own. As you can see here, apologies, I guess, if the brightness of the sheet bothers you. I just can't really see without it. But I ran these calculations here. So as you can see, we have the Oathplate plus Bellator, we have Torva and Ultor, and then the mix in the Ultor is going to be Torva Helm, Oathplate body and legs, and the Ultor, which is, again, like I said, gets you that 50 Scythe max hit, and gets you 39 strength. So as you can see, for all the Tob rooms, this is best in slot at P3. He's incorrect, though. It's also best in slot at SOT 1 maul or 2 mauls, and this could also be 1 hammer as well. It's still best in slot. Even if it's 1 hammer, it's a 10 defense, but I'm assuming you're bringing Maul, as I don't really want to do these calcs for anything other than max gear. It just makes it a pain. But yeah, so he's objectively wrong there. The mix and match is also better at SOT. And, he's right on 0 defense stuff that Torva and Ultor is going to be better. But the issue, what he's not really pointing out, so the Oathplate plus the Bellator on 0 defense, you're losing 4.5% DPS. Versus when you mix and match, you only lose 1% DPS. And then even bloat at 0 defense, you're losing 5% DPS if you use the Oathplate plus the Bellator. 5% DPS versus 0.9%, Nihilo Ball's 0.5% with the mix and matching. So as you can see here, the mix and matching really is performing very well. And I kind of wanted to show it throughout the whole raid too. Not just, kind of like, oh, look at these numbers and take my word. What I did is I went to the DPS calc, and there's a function on Gearscape called time to kill. So I looked at the time to kill for a 4-man, and the time to kill for 4-man scale that it shows is going to assume that you're soloing basically. So you need to divide that time by 4, and now you get all of these times. So this is like the sum of all of the times to kill for basically all of these rooms in Tob. Now I know this is not, a perfect illustration, because there are some things like, so for example, Verzik P2, if you're able to get a one down, you're getting a lot bigger time save than what you would necessarily see in that time to kill, just because you skip the downtime of having to, wait for the reds to spawn and to attack her again. And same with P3. If you're able to skip yellows, it's a lot bigger time save. Bloat, if you're able to get a one down, it's a bigger time save. So it doesn't include all of those kind of like little time saves, but it's not really possible for me to include that. So this is kind of the best we can do. And then I understand here, like Nilo boss. So this is just assuming you're scything the boss the whole time, which you're not. So, we can play around with these numbers, but if you still see here, so, like some of the stuff, so P2, if you're assuming that you were gonna two down reds every time anyway, right? So you're not gonna one down reds. You're two downing, you're gonna save about 5 seconds with the Oathplate plus the Bellator, and this is where it performs the best by far, is going to be, or Soat with zero hammers, which is kind of disingenuous because Soat is never going to be zero hammer in really anything other than like a duo or a solo, so I don't really even think we should include that. But yeah, so like P2, so you're saving, 5 seconds on Torva and Ultor, but you're only saving 1 second on the mix and matching. And then, so you're only saving 1 second there, but then you go and like you look at Zarp, and this is, Zarp is a pretty accurate representation because you're always going to be 5-ticking your side. So these time to kills are actually, these are pretty accurate. Zarp, you're losing 2 seconds on Zarp with the mix and matching. So even though you saved a second at P2 where it performs best, you're losing 2 seconds at Zarp. And you're losing, 2 seconds at Maiden. You're losing time at Bloat, right? So what I did is I took all of the sums of these times to kill. Everything in gray I excluded. So we're assuming we're running a 4-man. Every Soat is 1 maul, which it shouldn't be. Your Soat should be 2 mauls hopefully every time. But I'm just assuming it's all 1 maul. If we assume that Bloat is at full defense, so no one's going to drive by, no one's BGSing, we're assuming no one's BGSing the Nilo boss either. Nilo boss is at full defense. As you can see, Torva and Ultor is actually beating full Oathplate and Bellator. It's beating it by a little over a second. And then you can see the mix here is just crushed, is just blowing them out of the water. I mean, you're 6 seconds faster than current max, and you're saving 7 seconds on the Oathplate. Now, if you want to exclude the, like the Nilo ones, I think that's fine, just because, like, Nilo here, I understand, like, you're assuming that you're scything the boss the whole time, and the way it works, it doesn't do that. So if we just exclude that room altogether, we are saving a little bit of time now with the Oathbreaker. We're saving 0.2 seconds. So this is still going to be better than the max gear, also because this P2 damage is such a big deal. But if you compare it to mix and matching, you're still losing 6 seconds on mix and matching the gear. And again, like P2, you're still getting a lot of one down red equity. I mean, you're barely losing any DPS for P2, so you're still getting that one down. And then at Bloat too, I mean, you're gaining a lot of, you're gaining like a scythe hit basically at Bloat too. So you're gaining a lot of one down Bloat equity as well, which is a big deal. So if you look, I mean, he's just objectively wrong. As you can see from these calcs, they pretty clearly show that mix and matching the Oathbreaker with the Torva Helm and Ultor is going to be pretty significantly better than what we currently use, and significantly better than Oathbreaker or Oathplate with Bellator, and even with all this calcs, Oathplate with Bellator is really marginally better than best in slot right now. They're pretty much the same. I also added this for Colo as well. So like I said, he didn't include any of these Colo calcs. So you see I have like Soul 1 defense, or full defense, 1 maul, 2 mauls, Javelin Colossus, Manticores, and Shockwaves. So as you can see from here, so basically the mix and match is winning everywhere, except it's 0.09% worse DPS at 2 maul Soul. So this is basically nothing. I mean, considering you're hitting both of your mauls at Soul, like not, I don't know, half the time maybe. It's still going to be a way bigger time save as Soul, just because with one maul it's 0.5%, and it's 1.2% better, or 1.5% better, sorry, with 0 maul. So you're saving time at Soul always. It's always going to be best at Soul. And then at the Javelin Collos is going to be best, Manticore is going to be best, which obviously those are the 2 mobs that you're killing the most, so you have the most of the Rangers and the Mana Cores. Shockwave Colossus, the full Tor and Old Tor is going to be 1% better, but also it's kind of like the mob you're scything the least. You're not really getting a ton of... You get way more Javelin Colossus than Shockwave Colossus and the Coliseum. Just the way the spawns work and everything, unless you're taking Dynamic Duo, which you really shouldn't be taking. So, as you can see, mix and matching is also going to be better for Coliseum. So Tob and Coliseum, we can pretty clearly see it's going to be pretty significantly better than what he laid out. And I just kind of wanted to show the calcs to kind of prove that, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be wearing the Torva helm with the Oathplate body and legs, which again is something I've complained about. I really wish that the Avernic treads were +7 melee strength. If they did have the Avernic treads at plus melee strength, and I've mentioned it before, then we would actually, if they were at +7 melee strength, then what would happen would be full Oathplate with Old Tor would then get the 50 Scythe max hit, so then you wouldn't have to mix and match anymore to get those +2 max hits, which would be a huge deal. I hate the idea of mix and matching gear, but unfortunately this is our reality, as you can see, for Tob and Colo, specifically. For Cox, it'll depend on size, and, for Vard and Duke, sure, you'll be camping full Oathplate. But yeah, right now for Tob and Colo are like 2 of the biggest money makers in the game. I think they're 2 of the 3 best money makers in the game right now. So for 2 of the 3 best money makers in the game, you're going to be having to wear this mix and match gear. Really disappointing. Really wish Jagex would have addressed it. But yeah, just wanted to kind of make this video, show the calculations, kind of show exactly what's happening here. A lot of stuff gets said on Reddit. It's not always right. And, that post got a decent amount of traction. So I just kind of wanted to set the record straight. Let me know if you guys like these types of videos where I go a little more in depth, get kind of a little more into the DPS calcs, into the math of everything. Let me know if there's anything you would want to see specifically on, DPS calcs or anything. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching, guys.